You're standing at a crossroads. Two paths ahead, one safe, one uncertain. You tell yourself you need more time. You'll think about it tomorrow, maybe gather more information, maybe wait for a sign. But tomorrow turns into a week. The opportunity fades, and when you finally decide, there's nothing left to choose. That's how most people lose, not through failure, but through hesitation. They mistake delay for discipline. They call it strategy, when in truth, it's fear disguised as logic. They wait for perfect certainty in a world that never gives it. Machiavelli saw this pattern destroy kings. A ruler would hesitate to strike, waiting for the perfect alliance, the perfect moment. By the time he acted, his rivals had already surrounded him. The crown didn't fall because he was weak, it fell because he was slow. You see, power doesn't reward the man who waits. It rewards the man who decides. Not blindly, not recklessly, but decisively. Because clarity doesn't come before action, it's forged through it. The world belongs to those who move first. The thinkers, the planners, the dreamers, they all have their place. But history remembers only those who acted. Machiavelli understood that every moment of hesitation is an invitation for someone else to decide your fate. He wrote that fortune favors boldness because life itself is uncertain. Those who wait for proof are ruled by those who act on instinct. In this video, we're going to explore how to make better decisions faster the Machiavellian way, how to see through confusion, act with precision, and turn uncertainty into leverage. You'll learn why hesitation is the most expensive habit in the world, and how the powerful train their minds to cut through doubt like a blade. By the end, you'll think differently, you'll move differently, and the world will begin to move around you. Let's begin. Every downfall begins the same way, not with failure, not with weakness, but with hesitation. One moment of doubt that stretches too long, one decision delayed until the moment passes. By the time the mind catches up, the world has already moved on. Machiavelli saw this in the courts of Florence. He watched rulers lose power, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they waited. They wanted more certainty, more guarantees, more time. And while they waited, their enemies moved, acted, and seized the initiative. The hesitant mind believes it is being careful, but in reality, it is surrendering control. Hesitation is the most expensive luxury a man can afford. It costs opportunity, time, and momentum. Every second you hesitate, the window closes a little more. The world doesn't pause for your doubt, it keeps moving. Those who hesitate believe they are avoiding mistakes, but they are only ensuring irrelevance. There's a law of power hidden in this truth. Decisions made late are decisions made by others. The man who delays will always find that someone else has already chosen for him. Competitors take the job he wanted. Rivals make the move he was too cautious to attempt. The world rewards movement because action creates reality. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is like a river. When it floods, it destroys everything in its path. The wise man builds dams, not by waiting, but by acting early. The fool waits for the water to calm, and by then, it's too late to build anything. Fortune, like opportunity, punishes hesitation. Indecision is not safety, it is silent decay. The longer you think about what you should do, the weaker your conviction becomes. The brain seeks comfort, not truth. It will feed you endless reasons to wait until waiting becomes your default state. And once you live in hesitation, you begin to fear action itself. The powerful know that speed is not recklessness, it is strategy. Every great leader acts with incomplete information. They understand that no choice is ever certain. The difference is, they decide anyway. They trust their judgment, knowing that correction is easier than paralysis. A wrong move can be adjusted, no move cannot. This is why hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever could. Failure at least gives feedback. Hesitation gives nothing. It leaves you with silence, regret, and the haunting thought of what could have been. To make better decisions, you must first break the illusion that more time equals more clarity. It doesn't. Clarity comes from movement. Every decision is a test. Each one you make sharpens your instinct. The faster you decide, the faster you learn. The man who waits for the perfect choice never makes one. The man who acts creates perfection from imperfection. Machiavelli's princes thrived because they were bold enough to decide under pressure. The world remembers their victories, not their doubts. If you hesitate, you give your power away. If you decide, even in uncertainty, you take it back. The difference between failure and success is often measured in seconds, the seconds between thought and action. So the next time your mind tells you to wait, understand what it's really saying. Let someone else win. Speed without clarity is chaos. It leads to wasted effort and blind ambition. But clarity without movement is paralysis. The goal is balance, to think clearly and act quickly. That balance is the foundation of all effective decision-making. Machiavelli understood that clarity is not a gift, it is a discipline. It does not appear out of calm reflection, but through the construction of a strong mental framework, a structure that filters noise and exposes truth. Most people lack this framework. They drown in detail, mistaking confusion for complexity. They gather endless opinions, read more information, and call it research. But clarity is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing what matters. The powerful simplify the world into essentials. They do not chase every possibility. They ask direct questions. What am I trying to achieve? What will this cost me? What will it give me? And who benefits if I fail? These questions strip away emotion and reveal the core of every decision. Clarity begins with priorities. Without them, every choice feels heavy because every option seems equal. Machiavelli's rulers always acted according to hierarchy. First, survival. Second, power. Third, reputation. Everything else was secondary. When you know your order of importance, decisions become mechanical. You stop asking what's right or wrong, you ask what strengthens or weakens your position. The average person seeks the perfect answer. The strategist seeks the useful one. Perfect answers don't exist because the world changes too fast. The man searching for perfection will always be outrun by the man acting with purpose. The powerful don't wait for certainty, they define it. Their decisions create clarity for others. Clarity also demands emotional distance. The more attached you are to an outcome, the harder it is to see reality. Emotion clouds perception, and perception drives every decision. Machiavelli advised leaders to think coldly, even in the heat of crisis. When everyone else is panicking, the one who can detach from emotion becomes the only one capable of thinking. To decide fast, you must strip your mind of noise. Noise is every irrelevant detail that feeds hesitation, fear, doubt, opinion, ego. The disciplined mind filters it out until only facts remain. Ask yourself before every choice, am I deciding based on reality or emotion? If it's emotion, pause. If it's reality, move. Clarity does not mean comfort. In fact, it is often brutal. It forces you to admit truths others avoid, that your time is limited, that your resources are finite, that not everyone deserves your loyalty. When you accept these truths, decisions stop feeling heavy. They become obvious. Machiavelli taught that those who see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be, rule it. That is the essence of clarity. The world is full of men who cannot decide because they cannot see. The powerful decide because they see too clearly not to. Clarity is not found, it is built. Every time you confront a truth instead of avoiding it, every time you choose reason over emotion, you sharpen the blade of your judgment. The clearer your mind, the faster you can strike. So, build clarity like a fortress. Define your priorities, strip away emotion, and train your mind to see the world as it is. Because in a world clouded by noise, the man who can see clearly can act instantly, and that makes him unstoppable. Perfection is the most seductive form of procrastination. It disguises itself as high standards, as careful thinking, as responsibility. But in truth, perfection is the enemy of progress. Every man who waits for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect certainty dies still waiting. Machiavelli understood that no decision is ever made with complete knowledge. The world moves too fast, the variables are too many, and the information is always incomplete. The wise accept this and move anyway. The fool waits for what will never come. Every powerful decision maker shares one trait. They are comfortable with imperfection. They act despite doubt. They know that a flawed decision, executed swiftly, is stronger than a perfect one, delivered too late. The mind, trained in imperfection, adapts, corrects, and survives. The one addicted to perfection hesitates, overthinks, and crumbles. Machiavelli saw this flaw in rulers who obsessed over image and control. They wanted every plan polished, every outcome certain, but by the time they acted, chaos had already rewritten the rules. The world doesn't reward precision, it rewards momentum. You can't predict every move. You can only create the conditions where movement benefits you more than it harms you. This is the discipline of imperfection. Act now, refine later, decide, then adapt. Every choice reveals new information, and that information sharpens your next move. Waiting for perfect clarity only blinds you to reality. Action itself is the teacher. The fear of imperfection is not about failure, it's about ego. People hesitate because they can't bear the thought of being wrong. They'd rather wait forever than risk appearing foolish. But Machiavelli would call that vanity. He would remind you that results matter more than appearances. A decision that advances your position, even if ugly, is superior to an elegant plan that never leaves your head. Perfectionism destroys speed. Speed creates opportunity. The gap between a thinker and a ruler is not intelligence, it's tolerance for error. The ruler knows he will make mistakes. He plans for them. He expects them, but he moves because he knows standing still is the greater danger. Machiavelli compared leadership to warfare. In battle, hesitation kills. No commander waits until he sees the entire field. He acts based on what he knows now. He reads movement, not maps. Every second spent waiting gives the enemy time to fortify. Every second spent moving forces the enemy to react. The same applies to life. The world rewards those who create motion. Mistakes can be corrected, but hesitation cannot. The faster you move, the faster you learn which paths work and which don't. Every imperfect decision is a lesson purchased cheaply compared to the cost of endless doubt. The discipline of imperfection means releasing control without losing direction. You move forward even when the path is unclear, trusting that your judgment will sharpen through experience. It's not recklessness, it's refinement through action. Perfection belongs to the dreamers. Progress belongs to the doers. The Machiavellian mind doesn't seek flawless choices, it seeks advantage. It moves, learns, and adjusts faster than anyone else. The truth is simple. The perfect decision doesn't exist, but the perfect moment does, and it's always now. Too many options weaken the mind. The illusion of freedom becomes a trap. You think having more choices means having more control, but in reality, it paralyzes you. The man who must choose between 100 paths will hesitate, doubt, and delay. The man who has only 2 advance or retreat will decide instantly. Machiavelli understood that power demands focus. Princes who tried to please everyone, to explore every possibility, to keep every door open, ended up with nothing. He advised rulers to narrow their field of vision to see only what serves their purpose and to ignore everything else. Freedom without direction is chaos. Direction without distraction is mastery. The more successful a man becomes, the fewer choices he allows himself. This is not limitation, it's concentration. The powerful simplify their decisions until each one becomes binary. Does it strengthen me or weaken me? Does it move me closer or pull me away? Once every option is reduced to that logic, decisions take seconds, not days. Most people are exhausted, not because they work too much, but because they think too much about things that don't matter. They are consumed by trivial decisions, what to buy, what to post, what others think. Their minds are crowded with noise. Machiavelli would tell them to eliminate the irrelevant, to strip life to essentials. A clear mind is not one that knows more, it's one that carries less. This is why the powerful build systems, routines, and principles. They automate small choices, so their focus remains on large ones. A ruler doesn't waste energy deciding his wardrobe or meals. His attention belongs to war, alliance, and reputation. Every trivial decision steals energy from meaningful ones. Discipline in the small protects speed in the great. Limitation is also how you create conviction. The man who leaves himself no escape must win. Burned ships breed courage. Machiavelli admired commanders who destroyed their own retreat because they knew soldiers fight hardest when there's nowhere to run. The same principle applies to decisions. When you remove alternatives, you remove hesitation. Modern men drown in options and call it freedom, but the powerful engineer scarcity. They build narrow paths that force focus. When you reduce choices, your mind sharpens, your will strengthens, and your direction becomes undeniable. Every decision becomes clearer because there's no room for confusion. A mind cluttered with options is a mind easy to control. Governments, corporations, and media understand this. They overwhelm you with choices, so you never act decisively. You scroll, compare, and hesitate, mistaking activity for action. The Machiavellian mind does the opposite. It reduces, filters, decides. It wastes no motion. The secret is not to know everything, but to know what to ignore. Decide what truly matters to your mission and discard the rest. Once you cut away the excess, what remains is obvious. Machiavelli's genius was in simplicity. His strategies looked complex only to those who couldn't see the pattern. Remove options, remove noise, remove hesitation. The fewer decisions you must make, the faster and sharper each one becomes. A man with one clear goal moves faster than a crowd chasing possibilities, and in a world addicted to options, the one who limits himself becomes unstoppable. Logic makes you accurate. Instinct makes you fast. Both are weapons, but instinct wins the battles. Logic is too slow to reach. The modern man worships analysis. He collects data, calculates risks, and hesitates while the world changes around him. By the time his logic is ready, the opportunity is gone. Machiavelli would call that a fatal mistake. He believed that fortune favors those who act quickly, decisively, and with bold confidence. Not because they are reckless, but because they trust their preparation. Instinct is not magic, it is memory turned into reflex. It's the product of repetition, observation, and scars. The more you decide, the sharper it becomes. The less you decide, the duller it gets. Most people don't lack intelligence, they lack faith in their own perception. They have learned to doubt their instincts because society teaches them to wait for validation. They want proof before they move, permission before they act. But Machiavelli knew that by the time you have proof, you are already too late. The powerful train their instincts through exposure. They put themselves in situations where hesitation costs them something. They make small, fast decisions until their confidence becomes natural. They understand that instinct grows only through experience, and experience comes only from action. Instinct is the art of reading reality without analysis. You sense patterns others must calculate. You see intention before words reveal it. You move before others decide. A general doesn't need to know every detail to predict where the battle turns. He feels it. And that feeling comes from years of acting under pressure. The goal is not to eliminate logic, it's to make it invisible. Logic should serve as the skeleton beneath your instinct, not the chain that binds it. You study, you plan, you analyze, but when the moment comes, you act without hesitation. You trust that your mind has already done the work. Instinct is also how you stay unpredictable. Logic makes you readable. Anyone who understands your reasoning can anticipate your next move. But instinct is fluid. It bends with the moment. It's what makes a strategist look lucky when, in truth, he's just responsive. The faster your mind adapts, the harder you are to counter. Machiavelli warned against overthinking because he saw it destroy rulers. The man who waits for certainty becomes a prisoner to circumstance. The man who trusts his trained instinct becomes a master of it. He turns chaos into opportunity because he moves while others freeze. Instinct thrives in stillness. You cannot hear it if you are constantly distracted. The mind must be quiet to recognize its own signals. Most people drown theirs in noise, opinions, doubt, endless talk. But if you practice silence, reflection, and observation, instinct becomes clear. You will feel what needs to be done before you can explain why. The greatest leaders and conquerors never waited for complete understanding. They acted, adjusted, and forced reality to adapt to them. They trusted their sense of timing more than the illusion of certainty. Instinct is your internal compass, the only one that works when maps fail. Train it, trust it, because in the speed of power, The first man to move decides the direction everyone else must follow. Every great decision is not just about what you choose, it's about what you destroy. Progress demands sacrifice. Clarity requires cutting. Power is born from subtraction. Most people fail to decide not because they don't know what to do, but because they can't let go of what must be abandoned. Machiavelli understood that indecision often hides behind morality, fear, or comfort. Rulers would hesitate to remove weak allies, unproductive advisors, or failing plans because they feared being seen as cruel. But mercy to the useless is cruelty to yourself. Every second spent protecting what no longer serves you drains your strength. He wrote that a prince must learn not how to be good, but how to use good and evil as tools. Decision-making works the same way. It's not about right or wrong, it's about effective or ineffective. You must be ruthless in eliminating what slows you down, whether it's a project, a relationship, or an old version of yourself. Look at nature. The lion doesn't apologize for what it kills. The forest doesn't mourn dead leaves. Growth requires death, so does power. Every new direction demands that an old one dies. And if you refuse to do the killing, life will do it for you, brutally and without warning. Ruthless elimination doesn't mean recklessness. It means making peace with the loss that decisions demand. Every choice carries a funeral. If you avoid that funeral, you stay trapped between worlds, half committed, half lost. That's why most men remain average. They collect paths instead of clearing them. Machiavelli admired men who could sever ties quickly and without hesitation. Cesare Borgia, one of his inspirations, gained power not through endless compromise, but through surgical decisions. When someone threatened his order, he didn't debate, he acted. The speed of his elimination made resistance impossible. People feared him not because he was cruel, but because he was final. The modern mind confuses decisiveness with aggression. It thinks kindness means saying yes to everything. But Machiavelli would say that indecision is the cruelest act of all. It wastes everyone's time, including your own. The people you hesitate to cut loose, the plans you refuse to abandon, they rot in uncertainty. A clean cut is mercy. You must learn to recognize dead weight fast. If something doesn't move you forward, it's holding you back. The longer you wait to act, the more emotional attachment grows, and emotion is the enemy of clarity. Train yourself to decide quickly, not from impulse, but from precision. Ask one question: does this serve my long-term power or not? If not, remove it. Ruthless elimination is how you reclaim time, focus, and authority. You simplify your world until only what matters remains. The fewer distractions you carry, the faster your decisions become. This is not a mindset of destruction, it's one of refinement. Every cut reveals shape, every removal sharpens identity. The man who eliminates without hesitation moves through life like a blade, clean, precise, unstoppable. You cannot carry everything and rise. You must choose what to keep, what to burn, and what to bury. Because in the end, the power to decide comes from the courage to destroy. There's a moment every powerful man faces the storm before the decision. Noise everywhere, pressure rising, voices demanding, doubting, warning. It's in that chaos that most people lose themselves. They rush, they panic, they make choices to escape the discomfort instead of mastering it. But Machiavelli understood something most never will. The one who stays calm when everyone else is breaking controls the outcome. He saw it in the courts of Florence rulers surrounded by fear and hysteria, advisors contradicting one another, enemies whispering threats. The weak ruler reacted. The strong one waited not out of hesitation, but out of composure. He let others burn out their panic while he studied the movement of fire. And when he finally acted, his decision looked divine. Not because it was perfect, but because it was made in stillness while everyone else moved from emotion. This calm is not natural, it's trained. It's built through the discipline of attention, learning to slow your pulse when the world speeds up. Most people think fast decisions mean frantic ones. They confuse speed with panic. Machiavelli would call that folly. The fastest decisions are made by those who can create silence in the middle of noise. To do that, you must separate pressure from priority. Not everything urgent is important. The crowd screams for reaction. The strategist waits for clarity. The moment you let urgency dictate your move, you've already lost. Those who understand pressure use it to test others. They observe who breaks first, who reveals weakness, who cannot stay composed under tension. Calm is not passivity, it's dominance through restraint. Every confrontation, every crisis, every decision is a test of emotional control. A prince who cannot master his nerves becomes a slave to those who can trigger them. That's why Machiavelli warned rulers to appear composed even when terrified, because perception of calm creates the illusion of control, and illusion is half of power. Look at the generals of history. The ones who won were not the loudest, but the stillest. Julius Caesar, crossing the Rubicon. Napoleon studying his maps while cannon fire thundered around him. The calm man becomes a fixed point in chaos. Others orbit around him, seeking stability, guidance, and confidence. Without saying a word, he leads. In the modern world, this power is rarer than ever. Everyone is overstimulated, reactive, and addicted to noise. Markets crash because of panic, leaders crumble under criticism, and individuals ruin opportunities with emotional outbursts. The calm man becomes an anomaly, unreadable, unsettling, respected. His silence is mistaken for arrogance, but it's actually precision. You must train yourself to slow time under pressure. When the phone rings with bad news, when a deal collapses, when the crowd demands an answer, pause, breathe, watch. Let everyone else move first. Their reactions reveal the truth. Their panic gives you data. Their noise gives you time. Calm is a strategy. It's how you turn chaos into leverage. Because when everyone else is acting emotionally, you have the advantage of vision. You can see 2, 3, 5 moves ahead while they're still drowning in the moment. Machiavelli would tell you this. The man who decides from peace wins more than the man who decides from fear. The mind in stillness sees what the frantic mind misses. And when you cultivate that stillness, every crisis becomes your stage. In the end, every great decision comes down to one thing: courage. Not knowledge, not time, not even intelligence, just the will to move when others freeze. The best minds in the world still fail because they wait for certainty, but certainty never comes. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote that fortune belongs to the bold, not the perfect. Perfection is paralysis. The world rewards movement. Even a flawed decision, acted upon with conviction, beats a perfect plan that never leaves the mind. Because the world doesn't move for thinkers, it moves for movers. Every empire, every business, every transformation began with one person saying, "Enough, I decide." Speed isn't recklessness. It's the rhythm of confidence. It's knowing that you'll adapt faster than others can react. That's why power always gravitates toward the decisive. People trust those who act because action feels like leadership. Hesitation feels like weakness. So, make your decisions like a ruler, see clearly, eliminate ruthlessly, trust your instinct, stay calm in chaos, then act and never look back. Because every time you hesitate, someone else decides for you. And that's how men lose kingdoms, careers, and control of their own lives. Machiavelli's final lesson is simple: control the decision or be controlled by those who do. Now, if you've made it this far, it means you're not like most people. You don't want comfort. You want clarity, control, and power. So if this message woke something in you, like the video, share it and comment below, "I decide fast." Because the world belongs to those who move first. And if you're ready to master the mind behind every powerful choice, keep watching. The next video will change how you see opportunity forever.